just set it to record so I can
Your
probably
conference is being recorded. That's great.
so I
Thank
can
you.
send that to you, or send another one that we have recorded, depending on how they turn out. So
Sure.
yeah, I can do that. So you've had some familiarity with Securities Mosaic. I wanted to point out one thing. You have Lexus Advanced there.
Yes.
Okay, I did want to show you something real quick before we started on these platforms. This is, of course, Lexus Advanced. This is their tax, but it really doesn't matter. One thing that you'll see is that we are integrating, even though currently our contracts for Intelligize and Securities Mosaic are separate contracts from your Lexus Advanced contract or agreement. You can see up here, of course, the content set. Right now, Lexus Securities Mosaic is part of that. And in April, Intelligize will also be an option on here, so you can enter through Lexus Advanced to Securities Mosaic and or Intelligize. So that way you don't have to go to 3 different places. They're all in one place. So I just wanted to point that out. We are integrating that. And so I think that'll be helpful. I'm going to kind of run through this pretty quick, but one thing that we talked about last time was we can offer you some trial IDs after the demo today, so you can actually take a look at it, kick it around a little bit, and show other people and that type of thing. Securities Mosaic you're familiar with, so probably you can show that one as well. But I'm going to run through this real quick because I know we have limited time. So first of all, this is the platform for Securities Mosaic. For Intelligize. Intelligize was purchased by LexisNexis about 2 years ago, and the reason they did that is they wanted to strengthen the business law security section of Lexis Advanced. Because Intelligize is sort of taking the market by storm in its short 8-year history, to where 90% of the AmLaw 100, about 80% of the AmLaw 200, all Big Four CPA firms. The SEC actually uses Intelligize. They're one of my clients. They use it instead of Edgar. So that speaks highly of Intelligize and poorly on Edgar. So, and then as well, about half and growing of the Fortune 500 are using Intelligize. So, in many cases, your graduates, as they go out into their careers, will see one or both of these platforms. So, Intelligize, I'll run through real quick here. You can see we have videos on here. So when you get your trial ID, you can get an overview of the platform, sort of like I'm going to do, but it'll be there when you need it, as well as these particular areas which they match up with these tabs here. I'm not going to go through all the tabs right away because you can do that yourself because a lot of them are similar. It's just the content's different. One thing I want to point out is our help. Our help area is very, very strong in that it's not just a help desk that helps you if you lose your ID or you can't get into the system. It's staffed by experts in the securities and business law area. They are incredibly good at putting together queries and helping you through research scenarios and describing and explaining forms or they don't give legal advice, of course, but they do explain things that you find in here if you need more explanation. One example of that is what they do is they've done queries for a lot of our customers, and this is in the SEC filings area. These are sample searches. And these searches, you can see some of them are quite extensive as far as the targeting and the Boolean search. They are very good at helping construct those. When you if you call them or email them, they usually get back within about 30 minutes with the search. They email it to you. You can click on it. It'll do the search, and then you can save it up in your saved searches. So that's just to kind of start off. But I'm going to start off actually at the bottom. You can see there's a link directly to Lexis Securities Mosaic because they are complementary of each other. There is some overlap. However, they are complementary. Each one has some of its own exclusive content that is very, very powerful and contributes to the other. So they're available separately or combined. First of all, I want to show you firm memos because firm memos is a great area of guidance that's a lot broader than just the securities area. You can see there's a little I next to each one of these. So if you want to find out what's in that particular tab, just click on it, and it will tell you that we have 250,000 memos from large law firms and accounting firms in that area. So I'm just going to click on it real quick. And what you can do, you can see our filters are always on the left. This one doesn't have as many filters, but right here I could pick the firms that I want to look at. So if I want to look at, what the AmLaw 100 has to say about something, or AmLaw 200, or the UK, or the Canadian firms, the top 8 accounting firms, the big 4 CPA firms, and then consultants and executive comp and proxy advisory. You can pick who you want information from. So let's just say, for example, I want all the AmLaw 200 to find out what I'm looking for. Then we have throughout our service a lot of filters that really help you to take you where you're going. So you can see this is a lot broader than just securities. It goes into all different areas of business law. So as we go down, I can see, let's say if you have a question, let's say on M&A, for example, I can click on mergers and acquisitions. I could also filter by keywords if I want to narrow it down even further. Our Boolean search, actually, while you're doing the searches, you can just click on these and it'll add these to your searches. You don't have to type them in, so it just helps a little bit. You can also add an alert. So anytime a new article or memo comes out on mergers and acquisitions that anybody in the AmLaw 200 puts out, you'll get an email that lets you know about it, and then you can save your search as well. So I'm just going to do a quick search on the AmLaw 200 for M&A, and you can see there's some very recent articles or memos from the most recent from Baker McKenzie. What I could do is just click here, and I can get that copy of that particular memo or that particular article. Now, what we do is these are all public articles and memos. However, what we do is we actually pull them in from 253 websites from all these different companies. We put them in topical arrangement. We make them searchable, and put them to where you can actually use them for guidance instead of going all over the place looking for them. So it's a real time saver, and you're getting guidance from the top experts in every area of those areas. The next one up is corporate governance, and corporate governance is what we call a corporate secretary's dream database, in that it brings together from SEC filings and corporate websites all the corporate governance materials that you may need while you're maybe either constructing or creating corporate governance documents, or comparing, or seeing, let's say if it's peer companies or industry different companies, you can see down to the policies, committee charters, articles, bylaws, and so forth are all here, pulled from reliable sources from filings and websites. So if you had a question on from executive committee, you could pull that up. You could also do it by, if you wanted to do it by anybody in headquarters in Texas, if you wanted to put a company in there, if you want to put up to 300 companies and save those for like peer companies, you can do that. Then there's a lot of different filters that you can use there, but then you can just go to the actual particular document. And when you go to the document, it also shows you the other corporate governance areas that you can look at in addition to the executive committee one that we looked at. For example, orders of incorporation, you can go right to the actual area of the filing that those particular areas are, or compensation committee, you can go to the particular website and pull that up. So it brings all that together in one place. Okay, as we go up, I'm going to skip over exempt offerings, not that it's not important. Mergers and acquisitions is a very powerful area within Intelligize. The filters are quite extensive, and this is one of the reasons that a lot of the larger law firms really count on Intelligize is because of the M&A section. You can see this is a kind of an overview of what's been going on in M&A by target industries, by deal volume in the last 12 months. You can click on that. the law firms and their deal volume, the latest M&A transactions, and then M&A transactions for the last 12 months. You can click on those, by size or by date. If you also want to just look at it a little bit easier, you can do that as well, just to get a chart. But this is where all the power is over on the left. You can, of course, you have your keyword searches, clause titles, document types. So if you're interested, for example, in, particular forms or areas, you can find those. If you're looking for a transaction type, we have so many filters that lead you along the path of where you want to look, so you don't have to do searches for all of them. So if you're looking, for example, for a merger, but you're just looking for a reverse triangular merger, you can do that. We actually split it up by target and acquirer. So if you're looking for whether it's a geographical area that your headquarters is in Texas, or the target is in Texas, or the acquirer is in Texas, you can easily do that. That's just one of the examples that we could do. But you can see all the different filters, even by accounting standards, law firms, and so forth, that you can filter by. So it gives you a lot of options that you can do in searching M&A transactions. Registered offerings is a popular area. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's similar as far as the filters, but the S1s and the IPOs are always an area, hot area of research. So we have that separate transactional area for registered offerings. One thing that we've added in the last few months, and this is more for the CPA and accountant area, or the financial area, we've added the accounting standards and guidance in case someone's, let's say, reading a comment letter or notes to financials, and they have a reference to the FASB or to the accounting standards. They can link directly. They can go to and find those. A regulatory materials area tab is all in one place. Editors, to make it easy, have put the securities law, rules, regulations all in one place, as well as blank forms. So if you just know a particular rule, regulation, or law you want to read, you can go and just pull it up. In most cases, you're going to want to probably do a search. So you have your keyword searches, all your different filters, but you can also have a lot of filters, for example, for regulatory affairs, litigation areas, if you want to filter by those. News and public statements, so it allows you to filter down very easily. Staff interpretations by the SEC, the 5 areas there. And then again, from the right side of the screen, your securities law, rules, regulations, and blank forms are here as well. So this is where all the your regulatory materials lie. I'm going to skip over no action letters. Comment letters is one of the areas that the SEC loves about this particular platform. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you can see some of the analytics we've done. And this shows that in this case, for comment letters to corporations from the SEC, these are the actual areas of the filing or the topics that they have issued comment letters. So if you have a question on risk factors, you can see all the risk factor comment letters from the SEC. But not only that, you can also find the response very easily because we have the comment and the response together in one place. So you don't have to go to separate places to go find those. And again, you can filter that by company, peer company, industries, geography, law firms, and so forth. So it gives you a lot of ways to filter down. So that's comment letters. Agreements and other exhibits is very similar to our corporate governance area, in that we harvest the corporate agreements from SEC filings and put them together topically as well as searchable. You can see some of the sample searches our help desk or our experts have put together, mostly for our customers. Again, a video to step you through, and then other popular agreements, and then some of the larger agreement areas here. You can also use all the filters that you have seen on all the other areas. But for example, if you were looking for employment agreements, I can click on employment agreements and it'll bring them all up for everybody here. But if you want to be more specific, you have filters. So let's say you had a question on, oh, this is not the one I wanted, this one right here. if you had a question on compensation agreements and you wanted to narrow it down to stock options, you can click there. And then if you wanted further to put it in, just look at a particular industry, you can do that, and then research, and then do that as well. One other thing you can do with just about any tab here is that you can do what we call compare, and you can search for, let's say, stock option agreement between two companies, and you can look at them side by side. You can actually put 10 up at one time, but it would be pretty thin analysis on the screen. But you can put side by side documents and articles. I mean, and subsections of filings, and you can actually redline as well. But these are completely separate documents, so they're going to be completely redlined. But you can do that in just a matter of seconds, which would take forever to do if you just had to do it visually or print them out and look at them side by side. But I'll give you a better example of that in just a second. Section analysis and trends is where the really deep dive goes as far as SEC filings. This is where you can go down to clauses and subsections and subsections very easily. What I'm going to do is just show you a quick example of some of the analytics and how we do that. I'm going to look at risk factors, let's say for an S1 for a registered offering, and I'm going to bring that up. And then I'm going to say, okay, what I want to do is look at the software industry. And you can start typing in the name of the industry, and it'll come up if you don't know the code. And let's say I want it in the last 12 months. And then I can click OK or click search. So I'm looking at risk factors for the software industry in the last 12 months. So here are all the different companies and the risk factors involved. And what I can do from here, I can click on analytics, and it will give me analytical look on what's trending up and what's trending down in that particular industry as it has to do with risk factors. So you can see based on the number of sections in the filings that some areas are trending up and some areas are trending down. So you do get, in this case, laws and regulations have gone way up, but you can see big trends. So if you look down through here and you say cybersecurity, of course, that's always a big area. That's up 15%, but it's up every year. I'm sure you can click here, and then you can go and look at the cybersecurity risk factors for the particular companies within the software industry over the last 12 months. And of course, here you can actually put that into Excel. You can save it to your workspace, which is up here, where you can save searches and folders. You can set an alert. So if I set an alert anytime that risk factors for that particular industry would come up, I would get an email on that as well. So it keeps you aware of what's going on and what's changing. And then finally, SEC filings, we have the same type of filter on the left. But let's say we just want to look at a particular company, and as I type it up, and I'm just going to use the main search screen, and I'm just going to type in Microsoft as an example. And using Microsoft as an example, you can see the last 25 filings that Microsoft had. And before I looked at any filings, if I want to know more about Microsoft or ABC Corporation or whichever company that you're looking at, you can get a lot more information by clicking, again, the little I. So clicking on the I for Microsoft, you get a lot of information about Microsoft, including where they trade, where they reside, what exchange they're on. You get overview of their market cap information. You get quick links to subsidiaries, key filings, and then you get an explanation of what the company does. But you also here, you get all these particular areas that we went through before just for Microsoft. But one of the areas that was also very popular is the officers and insiders. You can get information on the officers, the directors, and then the ownership filings of the owners of the company. So you have all the Form 4s and 3, 4s, and 5s, but mostly Form 4s here just readily available. So let's just go back and look at a filing really quick. I'm going to look at the 10K for fiscal year 18, so I'm just going to pull that up for Microsoft. And here I'm going to show you, you can really do a deep dive into the filings with their outline. So if you wanted to go into risk factors, you can dig, way down deep and look at particular subsections or clauses very easily by just working through the outline. We also have the exhibits that are attached to the filings, as well as the exhibits incorporated by reference, which these are not usually included with the filing, but we have them linked there, so it saves a tremendous amount of time. We also have the XBRL documents, so if you want to look in more of a spreadsheet format and work with these, we have the XBRL information as well. So I'm going to look real quick at do a comparison of, let's say, I'm going to open this back up and do a quick comparison of Microsoft 2018 10K, and then I'll look at their 17 10K. 10K. And I'm going to open these up, both up side by side. And of course, visually, or if you printed them out, it would take a long time to figure out what's changed year over year. So I'm going to redline both of these documents, redline the older document to the new document so you can see what's changed from last year to this year. But what you can also do is go down and let's say we want to look at management MD&A, item 7. I can go up here and look at the difference. These are the sections from last year to this year, and then I can do a red line, and it'll show you what's changed from last year to this year. So you can do that with any subsection or section or provision within the filing. And then from there, you can actually swap them back and forth. You can save them. You can download them. You can email them and so forth. So that's kind of a quick overview of Intelligize. I can also run through Securities Mosaic in just a few minutes just to show you the differences. But are there any questions right off on Intelligize?
I don't think so right now.
Okay. Let me show you Securities Mosaic real quick. Securities Mosaic, as I said, is complementary. It does have some overlap for really deep dive analytics and so forth. For SEC filings, I would use Intelligize in most cases. But for most filing research, this does a fantastic job. We always say that we have the #1 and #2 SEC filing tools on the market. Lexis Securities Mosaic is very strong, but it also has some things that really are great for law schools and law firms, in that you have, we have the risk factors split out, but you have a separate section for investment advisors, for ADV registration. You have a section for insider, which we looked at before, for Form 4s. Right here is very important. Company disclosed investigations to that the SEC is investigating them. That when they disclose that to their to shareholders, and then law firm relationships. I've got a few law schools that professors use this just for this particular database here to find the law firm relationships for different companies. Also, we have again the comment letters and no action letters, just like we do with Intelligize. Private placements, these are all kind of an overlap in that we have the private placements here that we get them through a third party, not available through the SEC. International filings, we do add the Canadian and the UK filings under Securities Mosaic. Then we have another section with model business documents, kind of similar to Intelligize, that we can, pull documents and agreements from companies by topic or by keyword search. This is a really powerful area here in that the SEC enforcement defendant search, you can actually find, you can put individuals or companies or text search and find defendant types, violations, relief other than penalty type. And actually you can, once you get a company in there, you can look and see if there's any litigation or any action against any particular person within the organization. We have a very similar one, there we go, for CFTC, defendant search, as well as FINRA adjudication for those investment advisors. We have SEC materials. We do have trackers for Dodd-Frank and for Affordable Care. So you can see what agencies and what's going on, as far as proposed rules, final rules. You can hover over and read that, and you can go to the actual documents here and look at the comment dates, the effective dates, and so forth. So you can do that for Dodd-Frank as well as Affordable Care. And finally here, this is a very popular area in that we do have your laws, your code, bills, regulations, and public laws, as well as Code of Federal Regulations, your exchange rules, PCAOB rules, and your Federal Register here. But the area that's really unique here is the agency materials. We have documents from 52 different federal government agencies. So even though a lot of both of the platforms are very securities based, there's a lot of other agencies that are involved in all aspects of any corporation or business. So for example, if you wanted to see for example, the CFTC, these are all the documents that we have and archive for CFTC. So whether it's speeches or advisories or litigation or that type of information, it's all there. Also, just going back here, if you wanted to look for a particular company, an individual, or do a text search, you could choose all the agencies or a combination of the agencies, and then you could put in, for example, let's say a hot topic as far as sustainability, which really crosses all over all areas of the federal government. I'm going to click that. You can see there are almost 200,000 of them. So let's back it down to the last 60 days. And then you can see we also look for sustainable, sustain, and so forth. But you can look over on the left and you can see the different agencies. And if you want to see the documents from those particular agencies, you can look over here, including the SEC. So if you wanted to see what, let's say, DOD documents had something to do with sustainability or sustained, you can actually look at that. In this case, it's probably not relevant. You should have put it in. I should have put it in quotes to make sure it was just sustainability. But we can go back to all sources, and you can also look at the particular document type. So whether it's a news release, a speech, guidance, or even enforcement. If I want to look at enforcement, where that listed that particular word, I can click there, and you can go down and find that. So it's a very quick and easy and efficient way of searching what federal government agencies are doing on particular topics, with mentioning particular companies or in particular individuals. In addition, we do have one more. In addition, we do have law firm memos like we did in Intelligize. We do not have the CPA firm memos, but we do have the Canadian firm memos. We have a blog watch. We have a update on judicial developments, and then a news and blog watch archive in which you can also get alerts as to what's changing or to new blogs and to new news that comes out. So that's kind of a quick run through of both platforms. We do offer, trial IDs for each one of these. If you're interested, I can get those out to you to take a further look at the two platforms and see how it might fit. Or if you want to show someone else to the platform, you certainly could do that as well.
Yeah, that would be great. If you could send us that and a recording of some kind, and then any kind of price list that you can give